fully aware that the Honda Jazz is not the sort of car that you typically come across on CarNut.kiwi. It's a city car that costs less than $32,000. But we can't escape the fact that these sorts of cars are very popular, and I wanted to see if this car was actually a car that made me feel good. I think this car is the only car I've ever driven where its name is actually longer than the car itself. Honda Jazz RS Sport Limited. That's longer than 3.95 meters, which is how long this thing is. That short length is quite deceptive, actually. You would think that with such a small external dimension that the inside would feel kind of cramped and a bit, hemmed in. It's not at all that way. Particularly the rear legroom is just quite surprising. It's that whole long roof, vertical back type styling that they've given the Jazz that allows the rear seats to be set so far rearward and still give you a reasonable boot space. It's got seat belts and headrests for 5, but 3 in the back is really pushing it. The middle perch is literally that. It's a perch. It's very narrow and very unstable, and I think you'd have to have pretty good balance to stay upright in that center position. Also, when the third headrest in the middle of the back seat is up, it really compromises the rearward visibility with a whole sort of line of headrests. So what I'm finding it's best to do is just treat the car as a 4-seater with the occasional 5th person in the middle of the back seat if they're particularly good at balancing. So what does the Limited in the Sport Limited get you? Well, you get a Mugen sports kit with Mugen 17-inch alloys, Mugen titanium sports silencer, Mugen performance air filter, tinted windows, black painted wing mirrors, black painted spoiler, black painted alloys, black Limited badge, and optional side stripes, although additional costs do apply for those. I see a lot of Honda Jazz RSs around, and they look quite nice. They're much more subtle than the RS Sport Limited. Styling's a very personal thing. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's not so. But you can go too far. And I wonder if Honda might have gone just a little bit too far with the exterior styling of the car to suit its relatively conservative target market. This particular Jazz Sport RS Limited is the very top spec, which has got a CVT transmission. Now this CVT does have stepped ratios. You can paddle through up and down ratios via the steering wheel paddles here, and it's got a total of 7 preset ratios that you can use that way. But you can never escape the fact that it is a constantly variable transmission, so you lose that immediacy of engine acceleration and performance. So this is what it sounds like from scratch in sport. There's 100 there. It's not particularly quick, and you do get the sense that the engine seems to be capable of more, but the transmission is robbing of so much of that power. So I'd really like to see how the manual transmission goes. To me, that would be the one to have. Part of the specification with this car is its Mugen titanium sports silencer. So we should probably have a listen to how it sounds. The Jazz has got quite a groovy look. It's got that really wedge windscreen into the bonnet line look to the nose of it. So how far away is the bottom of the windscreen? It's that far away, a long way away. That means that there's a really vast quantity of black plastic at your dashboard top, and I'm finding that reflects quite badly into the windscreen on a day like this where the sun is quite low and glary. This little engine doesn't really put out a huge amount of power, but it doesn't use a huge amount of fuel either. In fact, Honda quote 5.4 litres per 100k for the economy on this car. Now that really is equivalent to running on the smell of an oily rag. Come on, ready, go, go, go. So it is a fun little car to punt around. The fact that it's so light, it's just over 1,000 kgs, means that it's just short of 100 kilowatt power. Not really too much of a handicap for all that you ask of it in a regular day's commute or pootling around the suburbs. Out on the motorway, it can hold its own with traffic. Car's pretty relaxed. We're doing 100 kilometers an hour, we're doing less than 2,000 RPM, and it's pretty quiet. It does seem to have a good ability just to lope along on the motorway with the rest of the traffic, and you don't feel like you're driving a micro car. You're not feeling like all cramped up. It's not claustrophobic inside. It's not working hard in mechanicals. I want to take it out onto some country roads at country speeds and just see how it goes out there. Okay, now we're out in the country, and as you may hear, one thing that becomes pretty clear pretty quickly is the amount of road noise. We're driving on fairly typical rough chip roads, and they're not a great friend of the Jazz, because those tyres, that wheel spec, and the general sort of single box large cabin volume ambience of the car really promotes that sound of the road roar up through the bodywork. This is a bit of a revelation actually. The Jazz Sport RS Limited has really come alive out in the open road. I've gone to sport mode on the transmission, and I've taken control of the gears, and the car responds very eagerly. It is noisy in here, as I've said, but the car actually feels, I think, happier out in the country than it does in the city. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's not hugely powerful, it's not hugely gorgeous to look at, it's not hugely fast, but for a city car, which is what its brief is, it's bloody good. It's easy to throw around, it's got a great turning circle, it's light, it's eager to please, it's got plenty of space inside, it's got a good level of equipment, it's got a reversing camera, climate air conditioning, city braking assist package, keyless entry and keyless start, fairly high seating position for extra visibility. It's just a fun little car to punt around.